So this is going to be a tutorial on how to use the spreadsheet from the link provided to you for the SCBA and apparatus daily checks. We also have apparatus repairs and changeovers on here. All these operate the same. This database is for the members of Beam, Bears, and Storm to keep track of the things that are open that they still need to take some action on to abate. So when you click on the link, it's going to take you to Google Sheets document, and it will look like this document here. So multiple people have access to this. This was protected so that you could only enter things into the shaded areas here: the closing member, name, and issue close date, and also at the end here the abatement notes. So we changed that, and it is now open for whoever has access to it to delete or hide any of the things. The only thing you can't change is the top row. That's the header. The header you can't change because that's linked to the survey, so that the correct survey information goes into the correct row or column. So the way this is designed to work is, and we've changed this several times, we think we got the best way is for some of these items in here, we hid, for all the items, we hid the actual pass fail entry because that wasn't really useful, and it made the sheet so long it was difficult to work with. So the only thing we're showing now are the notes for each of the items. If you enter failed for an item, the note box comes up for that item and you're required to enter a note for it. So any failure will have a note for sure. It's required. If something passes, they're not able to put a note, and that note box doesn't open up unless you click on fail. So using the notes box for each item is effective. It should work fine. The only one we have the answers to are the flares because there's no note that just gives the amount. So to use this, you'll notice we learned quickly that some of these rows that are entered in here automatically will have an item for more than one unit that has to deal with. So for example, if let's see if there's any over here now. Okay, so here we have one that has 0 to 5 flares, so they need flares. And they also have front passenger side tire below tread wear. So Beam needs to deal with this issue, and the storeroom needs to deal with this issue. So we have more than one unit that has to deal with the issues in this row. So the way we decided to deal with that is, right now we have Beam written in there. It really should be Beam and storeroom because the storeroom is dealing with the flares. So let's go ahead and enter that in there. We'll put Beam, and we'll write storeroom as well. So now when say the Beam member deals with this first, and he takes care of that tire, he gets that tire replaced, and then he's gonna replace Beam here, the word Beam, with his name. So if it's Lieutenant Borden, he's gonna put Mike Borden or Borden, whatever he wants to put in there for his name. Then he's going to leave storeroom there, and he's not going to put a date because this item is not closed out yet. He knows that something still needs to be done with the flares. So at that point, once the storeroom deals with the flares and they see that everything's been taken care of because they see Lieutenant Borden's name here and they know the front tire issue is taken care of, then they're going to put their name in place of storeroom, and then they'll put the date. Once they do that, then you can highlight this row, right click on it, and then just click on hide row. And so we don't want to delete the items that were taken care of. We want to hide them so that at the end of the year when we do our report, we can pull all these up and see how many items each unit took care of and abated. We want to use that for reporting. So just an FYI, this database is very limited. It's only comprised of issues that that failed in the apparatus check or the SCBA checks. In Esri or ArcGIS, we have the entire database. So we have all this information. If you delete something from here by accident, I can send you the entire database for that period of time, or the entire database if you want, in an Excel sheet. So this is just kind of a secondary database. We have the actual live database that's always being collected. So for we kept these columns short so that the database is easy to work with. You don't have to go too far to get to the end. If you want to read something, uh, they don't all the words aren't going to come up in these usually if you they put more than a if they put a sentence in there. So if you click on it, then you can go up here uh, the results for that box and read what's actually in that box. So here it just says pump, but when you click on it, you can see pump tank out of service. If you click on flashlight, it just says one flashlight here, but up here it tells you one flashlight is missing a lens. So if you need more information on the box, or you want to actually read all the information that's in the box, you just have to click on it, and then you can go up here and look at what was in that box. So same thing for SCBA checks, except these are pretty much always just going to be the bears that's dealing with these. So here we're still dealing with the issue of people putting notes in the note box that are not necessary, which are creating these entries. So to get rid of these, you can just select, hold shift down, and then select the next one, top one, and then right click and click on delete rows. And this warning is always going to come up when you're trying to change survey entries, which is fine. Just click OK, and it'll delete those. So anytime an issue is closed, we have to make sure that there's at least two things: the member's name closing it and the date it was closed. And then once you have those two things in there, you can highlight it and click on hide row. Don't delete the row because we want to document that your unit took care of an issue. So don't delete it, just hide it, and we can look at that when we're doing our reporting. We can unhide all those. So I think that's about it. Okay. So I already discussed. This is all open. We don't recommend anybody change anything in these boxes. The ones that are auto-populated by the surveys, we want to keep those the way they are. But we do want you to. We had to unlock it because we do want you to be able to delete and hide rows, so that you guys are managing this database, nobody else. So this is your database. You're going to be the ones looking at it. While you're in here, you might see boxes highlight or things moving around or deleting. Multiple people have access to this, so they'll be in there doing things with it, which is fine. The way Google notates that is the people that are in here are anonymous. When you click on the link, there's no identifying information. You don't have to log in, so Google doesn't know who you are, but they know that somebody is looking at the sheet or operating in there. So it assigns animals to the person. So we have anonymous dragon right now is doing something in the sheet, and we can see that's where they're at right now, what they're looking at. That doesn't matter really. I mean, it just lets you know somebody is in there doing stuff. You can just ignore that really. If there was 2 or 3 or 4 people, you would see more icons down here showing you how many people are actually currently operating in there. Apparatus changeovers, there's not much that we're really doing with that. We want to make sure that somebody from Beam is reviewing that to make sure all the equipment is there. But this row gets filled out every time an apparatus changeover survey is completed. It doesn't mean there's anything wrong with it. It's always going to be put in here just to keep track of that. Then the apparatus repairs, we are not up and running with that yet. We're waiting on approval for Integromat before we go live with that. But hopefully this is helpful just to let everybody know so we're all on the same page. If you're going through here, dupes, yeah. So a lot of times if an issue isn't taken care of, the next oncoming shift may put that issue in as well, or when that person returns 2 days later on their next shift, they may put it in there again. So if you see it's a duplicate, just write. Well, we had members writing DUP in there, so we know it's a duplicate, and I can delete it, or somebody can delete it who has access to delete it. You no longer have to do that because everybody can delete the rows. So in this case, when you find it's a duplicate, you can go in and just select those rows, and then right click and click on delete selected rows. Say OK, and they're gone. So everybody can do that on their own. You don't have to write duplicate in there any longer. But it is helpful for somebody to go through as you're looking at these, um, and look at what the issue is. So say for this row, we're gonna look at what was the issue with this row. Okay, generator. Okay, this was repaired, but so the generator will not start. So if that's an issue Beam's gonna take care of, then we can just highlight this and write Beam in there. If it's not going to be dealt with right now, it's good to at least have who's responsible for it down here. You can see somebody already wrote storeroom in these, or trying to organize it so they know what issues that they still have to deal with. Um, and then again, like I said, if there's two different units need to deal with it, like if they need flares and they have warning lights out, then you're going to write Beam and storeroom in there. Maybe the tick had a failure. Right here, tick doesn't work and the headlights. So in this one, you're going to write Beam and bears. Bears is going to deal with the tick, and Beam is going to deal with the headlight. Um, but yeah, again, only the date only goes in when when an item is closed out. Once you put the date in, then you can highlight it and click on hide rows. So we can hide those so they're not in the list anymore. Because if this list gets too long, it's going to become very cumbersome to work with and annoying. So we don't want to do that. So that's about all I have. All changes that are made to this are saved automatically. You don't have to save anything when you close out of it. All the changes you made they're live. You see them happening, and they're permanent. They're there forever. So that's all I got. Thank you very much.